Before we begin, listen closely, because what you're about to hear is not just a financial crime story. It's a story about power, billions of dollars, and a prison sentence that lasted less than 2 weeks. A man convicted of stealing from thousands walked free almost immediately, and it shocked the entire country. Before we dive in, pause for just 1 second. If you want more true crime investigations like this, stories the headlines move on from but the victims never forget, hit subscribe now. Turn on notifications and stay with us through the end of this case. Now, let's begin. For years, thousands of ordinary people believed they were securing their futures. Retirees, working families, small investors. They trusted their life savings to a powerful private equity executive named David Gentile. They were promised growth, security, steady returns. But behind the confident smiles and polished boardrooms, a massive deception was unfolding. A deception prosecutors later called a $1.6 billion fraud scheme. David Gentile was the founder and chief executive officer of GPB Capital. The firm attracted more than $1.8 billion from investors across the United States. To the public, it appeared to be a thriving investment empire. To investors, it looked like a safe place to park retirement funds and long-term savings. But regulators later alleged that beneath the surface, the business was bleeding money. And instead of protecting investors, their funds were being quietly redirected, not toward business needs, but toward luxury. According to regulators, investor money paid for private jet flights. A personal flight attendant earning $90,000 a year, all-terrain vehicle rentals, luxury travel, and even the purchase of a $355,000 Ferrari FF. One audit even flagged personal expenses listed under the description, David's 50th birthday. Money that retirees believed was growing their future was instead fueling a billionaire lifestyle. Meanwhile, investors were told everything was fine. Returns were coming, nothing to worry about, but the profits never arrived. In 2021, the New York Attorney General Letitia James filed a sweeping lawsuit against GPB Capital, David Gentile, and other executives. Her words were direct. Investors had contributed over $1.8 billion and were left without a single cent of profit. She accused the firm of fleecing investors across the country while secretly subsidizing the executives' lavish lives. The case quickly escalated into a federal criminal prosecution. Years of financial records were examined, emails were reviewed, money trails were reconstructed, and what investigators uncovered painted a devastating picture. After years of legal battles, David Gentile was finally brought to trial. He was accused of orchestrating one of the largest private equity fraud schemes in recent history. Prosecutors argued that he knowingly misled investors while diverting their funds for personal use. The defense claimed mismanagement, not criminal intent. But the evidence told a different story. In May, the jury returned its verdict. Guilty. David Gentile was convicted and sentenced to 7 years in federal prison. At his sentencing, the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Joseph Nocella Jr., delivered a stern warning. Those who try to get rich by exploiting investors, he said, earn only a one-way ticket to jail. For many victims, it finally felt like justice had arrived. On November 14th, David Gentile reported to federal prison to begin serving his sentence. For families who lost retirement savings, for victims who trusted the wrong man, for people who waited years for accountability. This moment felt final. The system had worked, at least that's what everyone believed, because what happened next stunned the entire nation. On November 26th, just 12 days after entering prison, Federal Bureau of Prisons records quietly reflected an astonishing update. David Gentile had been released. He had been granted clemency by former President Donald Trump, A man sentenced to 7 years for a $1.6 billion fraud walked free in less than 2 weeks. No public announcement, no televised signing, no immediate explanation, just freedom. The release was first widely reported by the New York Times. The report noted something else that raised even more questions. It was unclear whether Gentile had any direct connection to Trump or his political supporters. His lawyers declined to comment. Gentile himself did not respond to requests for comment. And for days, the official clemency notice was still missing from the Department of Justice website. The silence only fueled speculation. Why him? Why now? And why so quietly? Lost in the political shockwave were the people whose lives had already been destroyed, investors who had trusted GPB Capital with everything. Some had poured in pensions. Some had invested life savings. Many were left without enough to retire. And now, the man convicted of orchestrating it all was free. For them, the damage was permanent. The punishment was undone, and the closure they had waited years for vanished overnight. This is not just a story about one corrupt executive. It is a story about how massive financial crime operates in quiet spaces, boardrooms instead of back alleys, contracts instead of weapons, balance sheets instead of blood. And yet, the devastation can be just as absolute. Families lose homes, retirements disappear, futures collapse, while the person responsible sometimes walks away. Legal analysts across the country expressed concern. Clemency is meant to correct injustices, to free the wrongfully convicted, to offer mercy in extraordinary circumstances. But Gentile had just begun his sentence. There had been no appeal, no exoneration, no new evidence, only a conviction. And then, a release. Critics questioned whether money, influence, or political connections played a role. Supporters of clemency argued that presidential pardon power is absolute, but one thing remained clear. This was no ordinary case of mercy. As of days after his release, the official details of the commutation had still not appeared publicly on government records. Gentile's whereabouts were unknown. His future legal obligations remained unclear, but the damage was already done. The message sent to thousands of victims was devastating. Justice, once delivered, can still be taken away. So now the questions remain. Did political power outweigh federal justice? Was this purely a legal act or something deeper? And what message does this send to future financial criminals? If a sentence for a $1.6 billion fraud can vanish in 12 days, what does accountability truly mean anymore? David Gentile's story is not just the story of a fraud. It is the story of how trust can be weaponized, wealth can silence consequences, and justice can be rewritten in silence. A man convicted, a sentence delivered, a prison gate closed, and then quietly reopened. If you believe financial criminals should be held fully accountable, hit like so this story reaches more people. Drop your thoughts below. Do you believe this clemency was justice or injustice? Tell me what you think. And if you want more true crime investigations, cold case breakthroughs, financial crime deep dives, and stories powerful people hope you forget, subscribe now. Turn on notifications, and share this video to support the channel. Because some crimes don't end with a conviction, and some truths are only beginning to surface.